Ecuador's oil industry. Though painted by the Ecuadorian plaintiffs as a third-world country with no oil industry of its own, Ecuador has a significant and expanding oil industry. The plaintiffs in this case claim to come from the highest oil-producing region in Ecuador, the Amazon region, or Oriente. From 1964 to 1992, Texaco Petroleum Company, known as TexPet, participated in an oil exploration and production consortium in Ecuador's Oriente region. The government of Ecuador, through its state-owned oil company Petroecuador, was the majority owner of the consortium. The TexPet Petroecuador Consortium operated in a confined geographic area known as the concession. Before the consortium was formed, for economic and territorial reasons, the government of Ecuador decided to develop oil fields and distribute land to colonists in the Oriente, resulting in rainforest being converted to urban areas, palm plantations, and small farms. In 1992, TexPet's participation in the consortium ended. Since then, led by the state-owned company Petroecuador, the oil industry in Ecuador has greatly expanded at the government's direction. Ecuador is a member of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, and oil revenues play a major role in Ecuador's economy. Ecuador produces more than 170 million barrels of oil annually, and the country earns billions of dollars from its oil industry. The oil sector typically accounts for up to 60% of the country's export earnings. The former TexPet Petroecuador concession area represents only a small portion of Ecuador's oil industry. The Ecuadorian government has zoned about 65% of the Amazon for oil activities. Dozens of oil production and oil field service companies work in the Oriente. Ecuador's Petroecuador, the Ecuadorian-Venezuelan joint venture Rio Napo, China's Petro Oriental, Chile's ENAP-CPEC, and others. Ecuador continues to aggressively support and expand its oil industry in the Oriente and elsewhere. Ecuador wants to increase oil production to 600,000 barrels of crude oil per day by 2013. To meet this goal, Ecuador has drilled more than 1,800 new wells since 1990. Ecuador's growing oil industry also includes oil refineries. Petroecuador has been the owner and operator of these expanding oil production operations both inside and outside the former concession. And it is those current Petroecuador operations that the Ecuadorian plaintiffs picture when attacking Chevron. These photos from the Ecuadorian plaintiffs' websites picture current Petroecuador operations, but falsely show them as Texaco's. By contrast, these are pictures today of sites remediated by TexPet in the 1990s.